get out there and be hot on the turf. Sometimes you don't really want to be there. And then he would come in and he would do a cartwheel into a backflip, and you'd just be like, there's Damani, like ready to go, like not answering. And he always had jokes and really influential. He's for the short time he was in my life, he was like a big brother. He was always cool.
The council is now in session.
With a personality shaped by being an athlete and a background in mainstream sports media, I found that the stories I was most interested in telling were the ones often overlooked, the ones that might not otherwise be told, the ones that show the intangible and not just the highlight reel. The Sports Council is about highlighting the great, the good, the unique, and everything in between in the Pacific Northwest sports world. I'm Jamie Council. Thanks for joining me.
You're listening to the Sports Council on 1340 ESPN, the Tri-Cities leader in sports.
Happy Thursday, August 24th, and welcome to the Sports Council. I'm Jamie Council. Football season is here. It's one of my favorite times of the year. I love football. I grew up watching it, so a lot of sentimental value where I've always kind of been attuned to it. Played football, and it's just a game where there's so many moving parts when it comes to the offense, defense, different packages, different coaches, just the complexity of it. And I guess I'm a complicated person, so therefore football and I, it just makes sense. But with that being said, today's story is focused around football and college football. Let's talk a little bit about the transfer portal. So the transfer portal became a thing back in 2018 to empower college athletes. So college athletes now, if they transfer, do not have to sit out a year if they decide to transfer. They would have to sit out if they transferred twice from Division I schools. So a lot of leeway given to college athletes, because before, if I was recruited by a coach and then they would move on to another college or go to the NFL, I would be stuck in a program that doesn't want me. And that really hamstringed a lot of college athletes. So it was put in place to empower college athletes. Another thing that was put in place to empower college athletes is NIL, name, image, likeness. And it's really funny. Things that were built in to be a positive thing is getting taken out of context. Surprise, surprise, right? If there's a way to twist things, it will happen. So here's what's happening in the college football game, and there is a local tie to this, so we'll get there. Stay with me. So for a name, image, likeness, NIL, it was built so college athletes can get paid by the local Ford dealer, by local businesses to, give them a little extra cash, not be broke college students. But now it's become a form of recruiting where you are seeing players enter the transfer portal, because you don't have to transfer if you enter the transfer portal. It just says, I want to explore my options. So by entering it, you can see what your number is, see what people are willing to offer you, see what's out there. And if you're getting more, you can stay put. It's that fickle. And when it comes to college coaches, it's very easy for athletes to transfer. So who loses out in all of this? Well, one, the fans. I think it's kind of hard with so many players jumping ship. For fans that have brand loyalty or school loyalty, it can be hard to get on board with certain athletes because you don't know the longevity of their tenure in a program. But besides fans losing out, when it comes to the recruiting process, high school players are the ones that lose out. So college coaches, if you can choose a player that has a year of college under their belt. They're another year more mature physically and mentally over an 18-year-old that has a lot of question marks. You're going to take that seasoned player 9 times out of 10. So you're seeing this trickle down. Over 2,400 FBS players entered the transfer portal last year. In the past 12 months, over 2,400 FBS players. That is record breaking. So what you're seeing is a trickle down. So they will move for more money. They will move to play a different position for more playing time. Speaking of playing time, if you are in the Power 5 and you're not getting playing time, maybe you decide to go to FCS. So we're seeing that trickle down. So that affects local athletes here in Washington State. And one of those players out of Zillah High School is Cash Layman. Here's what he said about his recruiting process as he heads to Eastern Washington.
My football journey was a wild one. I was being recruited by some schools, by a couple Division I schools, and then the transfer portal hit, kind of rocked my recruiting world a lot. I think that this last year was the first big year of it. The year before, kids weren't really transferring like that, but this year kids were. So I think that kind of rocked my recruiting. So then I had to pivot, and I had to talk with a lot of coaches, have a lot of hard conversations, and I came to the fact that Eastern wants me to go there and do the walk-on process. So I think that that's the best option for me, is to go to Eastern Washington and walk on. It's 3 hours from home. My mom could come see me. That was a big part for her, is make sure I was home. And yeah.
So as Cash Layman heads to Eastern Washington to earn a spot on the Inferno, it is really, like I mentioned, a weird time in college football where we are seeing NIL and transfers really meeting. And a great example of this, I'm not making it up, I promise. A great example of this is actually out of Arizona State. So they're one of those in the mix that are transferring conferences, and also Herm Edwards moving on, and Kenny Dillingham coming into the program as head coach. A very young coach and a donor, an alum. His name is Nap Lawrence, donated $1 million to the football program to help the program build. How do you think that's going to get spent? Recruiting. That's right. And in something that has always been hush-hush, it's so loud now, where Kenny publicly thanked him for his donation. And that's something that's always been kind of behind closed doors. Like, you don't really talk about it. You always know it's there. But Nap Lawrence publicly thanked by Kenny Dillingham from Arizona State for helping build the program with the Sun Devils. So that's something where we are seeing the recruiting process is changing a lot. So with that being said, it is affecting high school players with the transfer portal, where it's a free-for-all, and coaches, they're going to choose seasoned players over a high school player. So we're going to focus on Cash Layman's story. So a 3-sport athlete out of Zillah, Washington, Zillah, home of the Leopards. And Zillah, Washington is also home to Brown's Pantry. What is Brown's Pantry? Well, technically it's a closet in the back of Mr. Brown's room at Zillah High School.
So here we got Brown's Pantry. If you come in, immediately to the left, you'll see we have a rack of clothes.
But it's also a place for students who need a little extra help. 15% of the population in Zillah lives below the poverty line, but Brown's Pantry was started due to a friendship made on the gridiron.
We come to the first cabinet. We have socks, we have hats, more socks, underwear, more shirts, dry fit shirts. Cash Layman, graduated from Zillah High School last year, class 2023. I played football, baseball, and ran track at Zillah High School.
And what was your favorite memory in athletics at Zillah High School?
Probably my senior football season. I think there was a lot of build up to it. There was a lot of question marks about the team, how we were going to do, how the season was going to look, and it turned out better than a lot of people expected. So I think that was the best part about it.
And 3-sport athlete, that's a lot. Now that you got through 4 years of it, what did you take away from, you're basically involved in athletics year round?
I think I took away having to learn to be in different roles. So like when I first got to Zillah, I was the young guy on an older team. And then I slowly became the older guy having to teach the younger guys. And so I think having seniors in front of me and juniors in front of me that were really good leaders and really good people, I think that really helped me grow into different roles as I became older.
And you graduated last year. So what's next for you, Cash?
I'm gonna be going and playing at Eastern Washington. I'm gonna go walk onto the football team, talk to the coaches a lot about it. So I think that's the next step for me.
You have to earn a spot. That's kind of a fun but an intimidating place to be at.
Yeah, I think people have said that, and I think the first thought I ever have is I'm from Yakima, Washington. Like it's not. I mean, there's a lot more intimidating things that I've had to go through, and being from the Valley, it's nothing new. We got to compete with Tri-Cities and Seattle and that whole area. So I think that it's just another challenge for me, and I think it's just gonna be a great challenge for me.
Yeah, it's kind of fitting being from Yakima. You're used to being in everybody's shadows and fighting for something, and now you're gonna have to fight for a spot there.
Yeah.
And do you know what you want to major in yet?
Business and marketing. That's what I've gone to right now. So I think being a part of the marketing world, I think that's what my mom does, and I love what she does. So I think that'd be the biggest part for me.
Wing back and boom, that hit right there. You can see number 0, Cash Layman, just lowering his shoulder there.
Tell me, what is Brown's Pantry?
Brown's Pantry is just a place where you can get what you need. I think I think one thing that was great about Brown's Pantry is that, as you've seen, it's in a classroom of a teacher that everyone can trust. It's not in a place where it looks like an institution or a hospital. Like it's someplace where it's cozy and you feel like you can walk in and get whatever you need. There's no stigma about it. There's no like, oh, I don't have toothpaste. Like that's okay. We have it. You don't know. No questions asked. You can go get it.
And you started it. Why did you see the need, or what made you want to start Brown's Pantry?
Well, it's kind of a deeper story. There's one of my good friends when I was a sophomore in high school. So it was over the pandemic. He was killed at a birthday party, and he would always tell me stories about how he wouldn't have certain things, and it was the bare minimum. It was, he didn't have lights, or he didn't have toothpaste, for example, and stuff like that. So I think losing him was really tough. And I think that as it progressed, I feel like my senior year, I finally wanted to take the big leap. I would do smaller things in his honor, and I think I want to take the bigger leap my senior year and do something that he could benefit from, and it could reach a million other kids or a bunch of other kids. You know what I mean? So I think that was the biggest reason for me.
And you have this idea that you want to create something that that there's a need out there because you saw it firsthand. But how did you go about implementing this and getting the idea in your head to something like this?
It was definitely different. It was having to go to Mr. Brown, and Mr. Brown's all about helping people. He's all about ideas, and even if it doesn't work, he's still going to try everything he can to make it work. So he was all about it. And then even the admin here was all about it. They were fully in agreement with it. So I think the biggest part was just bringing it up. And once I brought it up, the ball was rolling, and we got a bunch of donations. We have an Amazon list that we post from time to time if we're ever running low, and we ask people, if you have any time, could you please kindly donate? And I've put a lot of my family's money into this, and so it was really the biggest part of it was just getting the ball rolling. Once it was rolling, everyone was there to help.
And talk about some of the things you have in place that makes this approachable, besides Mr. Brown being a part of it.
Really just, we're working on the wall part of it, but I wanted everything to not be just white. I know that like a lot of times you go into like a hospital, you go into a place where you need something, it's just white and it's bare and there's nothing, but we already got, you can see the marks on here. You got marks ready. We got colors in the back. We got colorful bins. We got colors all in there, just trying to make it as normal as possible, I guess, because it is normal to not have certain things, like especially all the stuff we've been through in the last couple of years, even since I've been in high school. Like it is normal to not have certain things. Like it's okay. That's why we're here to help.
Yeah, and people that come in, it's more approachable that they don't feel like, hey, this kid doesn't have stuff.
Mm-hmm. And it's never like that. We never, if someone goes in there, it's no one says anything because they know that they're getting what they need. And as long as they have what they need, there should never be a problem.
And when you wanted to start something like this, do you think it would turn into this, or what's, looking back? I mean, this is amazing.
I think I never imagined that it would do anything besides help people, because all I wanted to do was help people. You know what I mean? It became a lot bigger than I thought it would. I never thought I'd be sitting here doing an interview about it, because whenever I saw kids not have things, I either thought of my friend Damani, or I thought of me as a young kid, not having certain things and having to rely on, a lot of other people. So I think that it's really cool to see it kind of build up, but as long as it helps people, I'm happy.
And what do you think that you're moving on from Zillah High School, but what you created, this is kind of your legacy here?
Yeah, I think the coolest part about that is that when I came to Zillah, I thought it was just going to be sports. I didn't think I was going to, do anything extreme here, because I was still doing stuff back home in Yakima. So then when I came here and I did this, I think it's something cool to where, it's not just my name on a plaque or a trophy I brought in from a team. It's, it's something that is going to stick and going to move on way after I'm long gone.
Yeah, and you kind of touched on it where you thought you were just going to play sports, but I feel like in sports you interact with a lot of people, you touch a lot of people. So I guess, where does Brown's Pantry and sports meet for you?
Damani, my friend, he that was one of the hardest things I ever went through, and so him being at such a pivotal moment in my life, a big part of my life, and then him being with meeting him through my favorite sport, football, and meeting a lot of my friends who also have the similar problems at home, and meeting all that, I think that sports allows you to connect with people, like you said, and I think connecting with people, you learn that everyone's got their own struggles and own problems, and if we can all just help people, that I think we'll all be better off.
Starting this, have you gotten feedback, or has it kind of opened your eyes to just how big that need is?
For sure. I think you got kids that even, we always tell people, like, you don't have to be in the worst possible situation to come in here. You could just maybe not have some deodorant. You can come get some deodorant. Like, it's not that big of a deal. So I think that, like, it's almost kind of, it's become a safety blanket for everybody, where it's like, oh, I don't have this right now. Like, I have to wait till whoever gets paid. It's like, you don't have to worry about that. We got it here. Like, it may not even be someone who's, struggling to find a home or doesn't have food. Like, just anybody can come in.
Lance Denboer. I'm the athletic director here at Zillah High School.
How did you learn about Brown's Pantry?
Yeah, good question. We working with Cash. Cash was my TA, so he was assistant athletic director for me all last year, and so great kid to work with. He does awesome things for school, for his sports teams and stuff. So being able to work with him and the admin, and Mr. Brown, just does a wonderful job, and being able to give back to the kids in the community.
And tell me, who is Mr. Brown? This is my second time asking this question today.
Yep, Mr. Brown. He has a huge influence on the kids here. He's a teacher for us. He's a coach. Just loves kids. Has a huge heart. Has a positive impact. Just loves his school. Loves his kids, and just a person that people want to be around.
As adults, you might not. It just wouldn't have the same effect if you or Mr. Brown was to start Brown's Pantry. Talk about just having a kid see this need or approach you guys with this idea.
Absolutely. It shows how mature Cash is, and being able, when it comes from another peer, it's huge. It's one thing to be top down and adults saying this is what we need to do or what we want to do, but when it's another student that has the idea and wants to make it happen, to help fellow students, it's easy for adults to want to get on board with that and help out other kids.
Yeah, and what does it say, I guess, about athletics? I feel like they really bring people together, and Brown's Pantry is another point to that.
Exactly. We stress family, within our different sports teams and so forth, and we try to do it within the school as well. And so being able to have kind of those same things, and that's what sports does. It teaches us how to be a better person, how to be a better teammate. When you go into get a job after high school, you want to be a good coworker by being a good teammate, and you learn those concepts. And just one of the ways that Cash and Mr. Brown, and you just have a big impact.
And what have you seen, like reactions from having Brown's Pantry?
I just think people feel comfortable. A lot of times you don't really see the reactions. You just know that if there's not chaos and people feel comfortable, they're enjoying, being at school and where they are. And, and it has a positive impact with grades and attendance and those kind of things that we're looking for in school as well.
And was it a discussion of, Cash and Mr. Brown helped start this, but even with him being gone, it's staying here?
Absolutely. It's going to continue to go. It's a great thing for the kids. And so if it's a great thing for kids, we're going to continue to make it happen and make sure it has a positive impact.
Yeah. And then talk a little bit more about, I guess the tie to sports, or what sports teach you, where I really do feel like this is a sports story.
Yeah, absolutely. You have different aspects of different teammates, that sort of thing. So you got to figure out how to have these different personalities and skill levels come together. Well, it's the same thing in school. We want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable, that feels like they're a part of something bigger than themselves. This is a way to help connect, to bring athletes and non-athletes, whether you're in clubs. It doesn't matter here at Zillah. We want everybody to feel good, to enjoy themselves, to have an awesome experience at high school, whether you're in sports or not in sports. And this is one way to kind of tie that together.
Damani Nelson was a student at Federal Way High School. To give a little bit of background, Cash was a student at Zillah High School. So where do these two meet? They meet at Air Sports Academy. So it is an academy created by Super Bowl champion Reggie Jones, and it's comprised of former NFL players, college players, whose goal is to pass on their knowledge to the new wave of athletes, making them a better person in the process, both physically and mentally, creating the best football players and the best people. Let me read something directly from their website. Athletes will leave better than they came, develop the athletes physically and mentally while also building their confidence and resiliency for all that life may throw their way. So Air Sports Academy, created by Reggie Jones. So Cash and Damani played together, created a very special bond, because that's what happens in athletics. And a hard part about this story is what exactly happened to Damani. He was gunned down at a birthday party. And this is one of the stories that you don't like to talk about, but it is a very real part of a lot of places in Washington State. So Federal Way, the Tacoma area, and even Yakima too, you are exposed to gang violence. It was a gang-related act, but before you think whatever you might think, because these are things I looked into, Damani Nelson, not involved in gangs, not involved in anything illegal. He had a 3.4 grade average. A smart kid, driven, part of football, lots of friends, and he was mistaken for a rival gang member. And a round of shots was fired off, and killing Damani Nelson at 17 years old. 17. And that is why Cash started Brown's Pantry, was to create something that he knew that Damani would have benefited from in his time alive.
Can you tell me a little bit about him?
He was a ball of energy. He was awesome. I think the cliche is his smile lights up a room, but it really did. You know what I mean? You'd get out there, it'd be hot on the turf, and sometimes you don't really want to be there. And then he would come in and he would do a cartwheel into a backflip, and you'd just be like, "There's Damani, like ready to go, like not answering." He always had jokes, and he always talked about the coach's ashy hands and just jokes all the time. And it was really cool to be around him. He was really, really influential. He's for the short time he was in my life, he was like a big brother. He was always cool.
If Damani were here, what do you think he would say about Brown's Pantry?
I think he would say that, I think he would probably make a joke about, I don't know, something about me. And then he would probably say that, you did good. And I hope he would say that. Yeah, I did good.
Brown's Pantry will leave a legacy built around the memory of Damani Nelson, as well as carries on the legacy of now graduated Cash Layman. I hope you enjoyed today's story on the Sports Council. If you want to find articles on Damani's story on the transfer portal, I do have those links on my website. That is intangibleproduction.com. As well as if you would like to help Brown's Pantry, they do have an Amazon wish list. So some people thinking, how can I get involved? Well, there is a way. I do also have the link to Brown's Pantry Amazon wish list on my website, as well as on 1340ESPNradio.com. So head on over to 1340ESPNradio.com or intangibleproduction.com for those links. Thanks for watching this week's episode of the Sports Council. Until next time, I'm Jamie Council.
Hygiene stuff. There's little tags on here to show what exactly it is. We have to-go bags with everything. We have extra oral care, body hygiene, deodorant, shampoo, all kinds of stuff.